and then you're going to take these two out of the way, X out of the way, and then you're going to catch the one that we left behind. Yep, they're doing a traditional plaited hat. They're learning how to do basic twine, three-way twine, plaited technique of weaving. One is doing it a lutic style, and the other is doing it cake style, Tlingit weaving. Their kits are being provided for them. So behind each kit, there's probably 4.5 hours of preparation in what I did for them. And you see how much looser these are right here?
Holly is one of my favorite people in the world. She is such a wonderful combination of traditional teaching, but also such a warm and big and sassy personality. It's just a pleasure to learn from her.
I've heard about Holly before this class, and the one thing that I remembered like standing out is that Holly is very encouraging of fixing your mistakes, which sometimes mean you undo a bunch of rows in your weaving. But so her reputation has preceded her.
Gives me a lot of stress. These guys, when they don't finish a hat in my class, I mean, like I have nightmares over them. And so I'm always like available and come back to them. I'm always like, see you on Facebook. If you have another thing that you have to finish, text me at night. I'm up until 2.
You'll trim everything later. Just leave it behind.
I'm Alu and Yupik. My family is from Bristol Bay, Lake Iliamna, Igiagig. Eventually, my mom grew up in Koknok, and my dad is from California. And weaving isn't humongous in the area I grew up in. We don't have cedar, and so weaving is typically done with grass. And I have very limited knowledge with that, but this is the closest that I can get to weaving right now. And I'm learning an Alutiiq design right now, of which she knows millions of designs and different types of traditional weavings, and I'm getting to make an Alutiiq hat because of that, so that's pretty cool. Learning even that part of a culture that is still different from mine still brings me closer to my people.
My grandmother was a weaver, my great-grandmother was a weaver, and so on and so forth. And that tradition was broken with my mother, and so it feels good for my family for me to start learning that again.
Did you trim them all off? I think typically for a beginner, I think that it should probably take 35 to 38 hours.
At least 35 so far, at least. The other night I stayed up until the wee hours of the morning, which to me is midnight, and that's way late, and just kind of got caught up in weaving, and it was awesome. That was also the night that I learned I had to awl a lot, so most of it was spent awling.
Every class is different. Every person brings a different part of their personality to the classroom, and I think that we've all worked really well together. I'm happy, you know, and I always say, well, are they happy? But I really looked at my gauge of whether I'm happy or not, and I'm happy with the results, so we're doing good. It's a very intentional movement. It comes, pinch it. So they worked separately, and then they came together, and it became just really fun, you know. Not all weaving gets to be fun. I'm quite a serious person and known to be a taskmaster.
It's just going to be so significant every time I wear it, because I'll be looking at the hat itself and knowing at each spot that I look at how it came to be and how much patience it took, and how Holly was such a great teacher and so patient with me, because I feel like after the first night I was ready to give up because I wasn't getting it.
It gave me a sense of confidence, knowing that I learned a skill that my ancestors had. And now I have that skill to teach my grandkids and, you know, and them to teach further down. And it's just a really big, for me, it's just, it connects me to my native heritage and culture a lot more.
It feels good and it feels nice to wear it. I'm really thankful for it because I know it's hard work.
And we discovered when Holly came up to Yakutat when I was living there that I only know how to weave Haida. So that's why it's in that style. And it's been really kind of miraculous that I finished something.
The diversity of a community and allowing people to be at the table with different backgrounds also really brings in the best of all of us. And so it really adds to the Cedar's experience, and Cedar wants to bring out the spiritual goodness. And so for me, it was bringing the people into that experience. Even though we didn't get to go into the forest to gather the bark, I got to have the experience of bringing the relationship with each other, and that was the highlight for me.
Good speech, how